Hey, how are you? This is Who Thought We'd Be Here? It's going to be a year-end recap of just some stuff that me and JP decided to throw out there, some of our favorite topics and stuff that we had throughout the year. We'll have a nice brief conversation, nothing too crazy today. But when you guys see this episode, it'll be the end of the year. Right now, it's the beginning of December. But
yeah, it's been a hell of a year for us, man.
Yeah.
Like, this has been a year of a lot of change, and we're excited to talk about that.
Yeah, man. A lot has happened in the last 4 months just since we started this.
Yeah.
Like picking up a sponsor.
Yeah, true. That is what happened. So as always, I want to shout out my buddy Will McGuire. He owns Joker Inc. He helped us with all this equipment that we continue to allow us to, I don't think we're at episode 16 without him. So, Will, we appreciate you. If you're in need of any type of screen printing, we'll link all his stuff in the bottom. Thanks again, Will.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. So, deep breath. Do some breath work to start the episode.
Yeah, tomorrow's New Year's Day, right?
Yeah.
And when that don't work, I take a second to breathe, yeah. Breathe in, breathe out. Couple rain clouds ain't gonna get me down. I said, breathe in, breathe out. I'm getting back to me.
All right. So, yearly recap episode.
I don't like this cord here. I'm going to move it around.
That's
It's gonna
fine.
bother me the whole time.
Well, now it'll just bother me instead. So, 4 months in
Yeah.
since we've started this podcast. It's now the end of the year, but
That's basically 4 months for us.
we started at the end of August, so this will be a loose recap. It'll be stuff that's happened
Yeah, we're just
specifically
gonna-
since the podcast started, and then like some things from the year that we've actually really enjoyed, so we decided to mention.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some fun stuff that usually we don't talk about.
Yeah,
We're just going to, keep it loose.
yeah, nice and easy today. So, first topic in 2023, what was your favorite book?
Favorite book? I'm going to go with one that you gave me.
Nice.
You know that. There were a couple good ones, but I think my favorite one was The Surrender Experiment. The timing of it was perfect. And like it just hit me all in the right places. And very I love reading, but very rarely do you read a book that comes along where you're just like, I was meant to read this at this point in my life, and thank goodness I did. I don't know if we'd be continuing on doing this without me reading that. I really needed to let go. And what about you?
So for me, I'm also going to stick with Michael Singer. I'm going to go with Living Untethered, though. It was the book that I was reading when I first got sober. It was big in that, helped me get through that, those first couple weeks. It was the book that I was reading when I got to California, when I left for my 30th birthday. So that was really nice. A lot of things that he talks about. You know how Michael Singer is.
He's great, man. We're big fans.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of things that you can do, how to. After you've read The Untethered Soul or The Surrender Experiment, it's a lot more of how to do the things he's talking about doing in those two books.
Yeah, I still need to read that one.
Yeah,
It's still the only one I've read by him, but that one. I mean, sometimes you can say a book changed your life.
Wait till you get to The Untethered Soul. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm assuming. He always talked about it in that book, how that was the one that got him, all this recognition.
I would also like to throw out an honorary mention. I did read it almost a year ago. It was probably around this time last year. It was Think and Grow Rich. That was a big one for me. That one helped me reset my mindset and start to engrave some different affirmations in my head, new patterns.
Oh yeah, I'll do a honorable mention as well. For the first time, I read all the way through. I guess it's technically Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, but I read the translation that was called The Emperor's Handbook, and it's amazing how something that could be written 3,000 years ago, or however 2,000 years ago, whatever it is, that somebody who was the emperor, the most powerful person in the world, basically being the emperor of Rome at that time, and he could still be struggling with God, I just want to stay in bed in the morning, but I got to get up and do what I got to do. And I really liked it. I always kind of try to go to the Stoics in terms of when you're struggling to be who you are. You were not meant to sit around here and stay under the blankets and be warm.
Yeah.
You were meant to go out there and serve others and do what's right.
So, on the topics of reading, I know reading is in your morning routine. It's also in mine. What is your favorite habit from your morning routine?
Does it have to be a habit I developed this year?
I mean, that was the point of a yearly recap.
Yeah, true.
Something. It doesn't have to be. You could have started a while ago, but something you leaned into this year. Then.
I would say, like, even though I haven't stuck to it 100%, the one that has changed me the most is going on the walks in the morning.
Nice.
Like, I really like that one, and like, I won't even lie, like, I've struggled with it as of late, being sick and with it being cold. But like, I know that's it's almost like it. I feel like you got to make the one that maybe you don't look forward to as much. Just say it's your favorite one, and eventually you'll convince yourself. You gotta see it. Like, you can't do anything else.
That's a very good way to look at it. I would say for me, my favorite habit that I've developed this year is probably getting more into journaling. And it's been just very recent, but like I've been really taking that seriously. Like, not just writing the stuff that I was always writing, like my gratitude stuff, like my agenda for the day, but like taking the time in the morning to like write out like some just stream of conscious thought, like, and at night too, right before bed, just getting out some things that I want to like make sure I write down before I go into sleep, you know?
Yeah, I think that might be my resolution for the following year, is just to get better at the evening routine.
Yes.
The evening one is tough, man, especially after you've had a long day, or you've been at work, or you've been, if you've been productive, like, it feels like you've earned the time to relax.
Yeah, no, I agree
but
with
it sets you up. You're never taking a break from taking care of yourself. So maybe we'll work on that going into the next year.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
A little bit lighter. You're big into cinema. What was your favorite movie this year?
Very big into cinema. I saw a lot of good movies this year, but I got to go with Oppenheimer. Shout out to Paul. I saw that in theaters with him. And like, one of my favorite things that I like to judge movies by, especially now, which is that, like, if you can make a long movie and not make it feel long, that's a beautiful thing. And that movie was 3 hours long, and it never ever felt like that. You were always in it. It was always like developing something new. Shout out to Christopher Nolan. It was and like, I think it went in a direction that most people thought it wouldn't. Like, I think that people just kind of thought it would be all about the bomb itself, but it was much more in depth about him.
Still haven't seen it.
Yeah. What about you though? You've seen some movies this year.
I have seen some movies. I don't know, to be honest, if I could pick a favorite movie.
It doesn't even. I don't even think it has to be something that came out this year. I would say, like, but what's something that you saw this year for the first time?
Yeah, you know what? I love SNL. The Please Don't Destroy movie that came out. I watched that. That was fucking hilarious. Yeah, I really like that. It's I'm always up for a good laugh. I like.
No, they're really funny. I think that they're going to be very successful in comedy. Like, I like them a lot. Like, what did you like about it?
Oh, just like their humor is funny to me. Like, they're just like the way that they approach sketch humor. Like, I really think that's fun. We're like flying through. Let's take a second, slow down. Speaking about podcasts, since we're recording a podcast,
we are doing that. Yeah.
What are your top 3 podcasts for the year?
Top 3. Well, I can tell you what my top 3 were on Spotify Wrapped.
Okay.
I know that number 1 was Rich Roll. Number 2 was This Past Weekend, Theo Von, and number 3 was Tetragrammaton. Rick Rubin. Yeah. And like, I would say that there were others along the way that I enjoyed, but like, that's a pretty accurate representation. Like, that's probably a good starting point of where the inspiration for what we do comes from. Yeah. It's all over the place. And like, we can't skip over the fact of how much I love Theo Von's theme song. Can't skip over that. It's a beautiful thing.
Obsessed with it. He sings it all of the time.
And how about you?
For me, I would say I know what my Spotify Wrapped was, but mine's all over the place. Like, the Dale Jr. Download was number 3, but that's like, it's because it's long and it's something that I listen to when I'm traveling. Yeah, because I don't mind those NASCAR podcasts.
Yeah, I getcha. Yeah.
The Y&K podcast obviously is number 1 for me. I listen to that, like, even on Only Steve's on the group platform. I'll listen to it there or on Spotify. Soul of Jared I listened to a lot this year. the Ebb and Flow I listened to a lot. Tetragramma 2 for me was big. The Rick Rubin one.
He always has the best guests.
And they're so long. They're so detailed. Like, they cover so much. So, like, they're really good to listen to. The John Mayer episode was so good.
I was going to say, like, maybe, like, can we think of maybe a couple specific episodes of the shows we really liked that really maybe had a big impact on us?
So, for me, like, the YNK, the episode with Max Homa was super big. That, like, helped me open my eyes to changing my life around. There's an episode of, it's either the Ebb and Flow or Soul of Jared, but they're together. Where it's Jared and Evan together. And that one, I, like, specifically remember walking the dog, listening to it, and they said something in it that, like, clicked to me. And then the John Mayer one. I fucking love John Mayer. Yeah, listening to him talk.
He does such a good job interviewing people. Yeah, like, let's see. Because he has so many good guests, like the one with Gerard Carmichael.
The one with Paul Heyman is my favorite.
I haven't seen that one.
It's mad good, but I love wrestling.
For obvious reasons. And I actually, like, a surprisingly one that, like, I just kind of, I may have even listened to it on, like, a shuffle, not even, was him interviewing Kenny Beats.
Okay.
Like, and I love Kenny Beats' music. I love him as a producer. But, like, I had never really gotten that insight into who he was. And he talked about how he had this album that he made for his dad after he passed away. And, like, just, it was really cool to see two people who, like, just love music. Just absolutely love music. Just talk about it. And, like, be able to be, like, you could be that big and still be doing what you want with music versus trying to sell records or please people. And this past weekend when he had John Mulaney on, because a big part of this podcast is we talk about addiction and we talk about the impact that that's had, and being able to pull yourself out of that hole is a beautiful thing. So the two of them had a very hilarious but also very deep conversation about, you know, like, how tough it can be to get past moments like that, and to pull yourself up out of a trap that you've been in for years, not only for the good of yourself but for the good of other people. And that one, like, really, I honestly think I probably listened to that one very shortly before we started this. It's on my vision board. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a movie, but, like, one of the best things I watched this year was his stand-up special.
Yeah.
That was so good. Especially for that reason, like, because he's talking about that stuff. Like, it being that open, I would imagine being on stage in front of all of those people and, like, joking about not even the most serious thing you did to get money to do cocaine. Like, that's vulnerable.
Yeah, and that's why in our first episode I said I'd like to have he would be an absolute dream guest to have on, because he's super talented, but, like, in some way, like, we feel like we can relate to him just a little bit, you know?
Yeah,
just a little bit. So it's interesting because it's like when somebody with, you know, that much fame and celebrity and is able to do that, because, like, you have everything at your fingertips. There's always another drug dealer. There's always, you know, people like us, we have limited resources. Like, to be able to put down stuff like that when you have unlimited money, unlimited, you know, whatever. He's a comedian. He works at night. Yeah. You know, like, to be able to do that is very impressive to me. Like, and I'm just, I want to know more, I guess. I want to know what the crazy story is. I want to know what the one he didn't talk about in the special.
Yeah. The wildest thing that he did.
Yeah, I would love to.
You have anything that you have written down?
Yeah, I have some stuff.
Some topics that you want to cover? I still have a couple more, but swing some of your stuff in.
Let's see. Oh, okay, that's a good one. I have favorite thing that you, like, walked away from or eliminated from your life this year.
Alcohol.
I knew that was going to be amazing. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, yeah, it's like...
How long has it been now?
For me, it's going to be 9 months, December 26th. Yeah, I'm almost there. I just can't wait to get to a year. Yeah. Nothing's going to change, but, like, just to know that I can get to a year, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's not like there's going to be, like, a fucking pot of gold at the end of the rainbow because I woke up a year sober, but for me, like, it's just been so impactful, like, being able to be present in the moment and like not relying on alcohol or like other substances to like be able to get through the day, you know, like just waking up in the morning and putting my feet on the ground and being like, I'm not hungover today. I have some things I want to do. I'm actually going to do them. Like, I'm not sitting around. Like, me and Julianne went out to the bar on Sunday. And it was the first time I sat at a bar, like at a restaurant, in God knows how long.
Probably since Riverdale when I was working there.
Yeah, and I actually got a non-alcoholic beer. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna have one. And like I sat there, it was nice, but like I like just having a non-alcoholic beer instead of having actual alcohol, like, and then not being like, I'm gonna have just one more and then just one more. You know what I mean? Like the change that's been to just. It's more about discipline, honestly. It's just like I know that I'm so disciplined now that like you couldn't get me to drink if you wanted to. Like I'm gonna say no every single time, and like that's my favorite thing that I've walked away from this year.
No, I'm still proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah.
What about you?
I gotta say the restaurant business.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, no, I agree though. I know that was going to be for you.
I was sitting here trying to think about it, and I'm like, what's the biggest change that I made? And it was that, like, you know, I've been doing it for a very long time, and you know, maybe there's a time where I'll make my way back, and it won't impact me as much. But like,
nah, son, we're podcasters now.
But it, the way that like my thought process has shifted. And I was just talking about this in therapy yesterday about how I've had all this momentum to kind of become more of my authentic self over the last couple months because I haven't been there. Because when you're in the restaurant and you're not happy being there, and like I said, I mean, for some people it is what it is, but like for me, it just wasn't like that. And to have that, like, you know, virtually when I was working in the restaurant, every other day, I felt like, okay, well, like I have the day off, I can like do some stuff for myself, but then it's always the next day you're going back to it, you know, and you feel like you can't. I felt like I couldn't kind of get momentum with myself creatively or just kind of like get a little deeper within myself because I always felt like I was reverting back to that. And like I know where my self-control is at when I'm in there, and it's nice to just not have that be a part of your life. You know, sometimes there's things where like you have to deal with them in your life, and then like I said, I had to turn to myself and be like, well, there's a million other things I could do to, you know, make a living or be happy or have a career, and I'm doing the one thing that I know I'm kind of miserable doing.
Yeah. You got enough practice knowing you don't like it.
Exactly. Like more than enough, 10 times over.
Yeah. Don't need to continue
Like
practicing.
I said, I love it. I'm very thankful for everything that's come out of it. But at the same time, I wish that like this could be the way, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, like this could be
the
way.
It will be.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
So, what else you got over there?
Well, we've gone over. I already had. We could say what's our favorite episode of the podcast that we did this year.
Of our podcast?
Of ours, yeah. Or favorite moment from an episode.
Favorite moment from the podcast? I think the second episode on the deck, when I like freaked out a little bit, like that was a nice opening for me because like from that point on, I've been like I don't get that worry at the beginning of an episode like I did after I like that day. It was also our first time doing it, but like that was a good moment for me. Yeah. I think that episode with Jose and like this when he dropped that line about flowers on us.
That was a good one too. Yeah. That was a really good one.
What about you?
Well, I don't know if it'll have come out by this point, but like, it's tomorrow, right? My episode. Yeah.
I forgot about mine. It still wasn't for mine though.
Yeah.
But continue.
But no, yeah, doing the episode and getting the interview and getting that off my chest, man, like, I felt like I did mushrooms that day.
Isn't this so much easier now?
It feels like wait, well, yeah, we haven't done an episode since we did that.
Yeah.
I feel very relaxed. I feel very open because it's just like like anything. Just watch that episode.
I already cried on camera.
Multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? What else do I have to worry about being up here?
Yeah, and that was just really when you go into that, you don't really expect you don't really know if you're gonna like how that's gonna go. Like if you're gonna be able to put yourself into the present moment. I've always had a struggle with holding back your authentic self, and it was really fulfilling to have that moment, to have the intention of doing that, and it was followed through. Like we took all the right steps, we prepared ourselves, and it happened the way that I hoped it would, which is that like you get some type of release and you're able to then come back here, do this next episode, and be a little bit more comfortable because it's like I have nothing to hide.
Yeah,
I have absolutely nothing to hide. Like
absolutely.
So that was really nice. But I also will say I got to give a shout out to, even though nobody has really seen anything from it, I got to give a shout out to the first one that we did where we just were like, who cares?
Yeah,
Who cares? Like, and we just did mushrooms and
did an episode.
And attempted to record something. Like, and we weren't even really recording.
Yeah.
But that's where it all started.
Do you have a moment from this year that you would say, like, it was a jumping off point where you did something that you wouldn't have normally done and, like, it turned out the way you wanted, like, it worked out for you? Do you have a moment where you let the universe do its thing and it worked out, like, that you can think of that stands out to you?
Oh, I literally I didn't think about this at all prior, but I want to tell that story about when I was on the ship back from Canada. So I was that trip was nuts. I already talked about it on the podcast. You guys know. Then I'm on the boat back. Like it's been a hell of a trip. Like I'm in my head. Like what am I gonna learn from this? What am I gonna do? I have at this point been drinking on the boat. I've been smoking weed and hash, and I had taken, I think only one piece of a mushroom bar, but maybe two, and I'm microdosing on mushrooms too. And I'm just like letting it all loose. I'm like, all right, the trip is over. This is like the one night where I get to whatever. And we're sitting there watching. It was the baseball playoffs at the time, and I'm in Canada, so everybody's paying attention to the Blue Jays, and there's no sound on the TV though, and we were probably watching on a TV that was smaller than your notebook. So, and like there's no sound on the TV. It's like I think I explained it. It's like the TV in The Office when he's like, "It saves space," and he like it puts it like 2 inches into the wall. And I step outside to smoke with my buddy. The Blue Jays game is almost over. We go out there. It's like the wind is pounding, but we're smoke a little bit, come back inside. By that point, everybody has like left the bar because while we were gone, the Blue Jays had lost. So somebody had came back and they lost. And now the Mariners game is on. But now the volume is on. And I'm like, this is weird. Like it could have been on the whole time. Like, and we're all just hanging out there. And the Mariners have a player named J.P. Crawford. Somebody hit a ball up the middle, and they were playing the shifts, so he was standing right behind second base, and the announcer was like, "I'm gonna butcher the exact thing that he said, but he said like, up the middle, JP's waiting for it. Nicely done," or whatever it was that he said. And like something just like, and I obviously was like, everybody else is talking and laughing, and I'm like the only one who hears it, and like, why would anybody else hear it? But it was like a moment where I was like, I'm in the right place at the right time. I just have to put myself in the right rooms, and opportunities will come. And at the time, I had been also reading The Surrender Experiment, and it was like, if you let go, you pay attention, and you just let the universe do its thing. And I felt like that was a moment where I could just kind of like let go of control and be like, oh, okay. Like, I gotta like let go of this chokehold, and let the universe like do its thing.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah. How about you?
For me, it was probably I've let go of a lot of things, and it's done its thing this year. Maybe I mean probably the first one was leaving my job. I took a chance on that, and I didn't know where that was going to end up, and I've still come up with the ability to move out of the area and live on my own now. Like it worked out. It led to this starting, like.
It did. Yeah, that was like a week. That was less than a week after.
Yeah, I like really got to know myself by doing that, and like, universe got me, man. Like, I'm not dead. I quit my job that nobody said I would quit, and I'm doing fine now. I'm probably doing better than fine,
Mm-hmm.
So that for me was my biggest moment of letting go and just like trusting.
Yeah, like, and I think we've both learned this a lot, which is like it's not all about money.
Yeah,
like it's very hard to make decisions that are outside of that. Like, you're considering another factor that isn't, okay, well, I'm going to make less money, but I'm going to do this, or or I'm going to take this risk, and it's going to involve maybe a financial thing. And I feel like, unfortunately, in our society today, nobody makes decisions like that. Everything is that first, and I get that, but also at the same time, it's very freeing to like let go of the fact of like I said. I mean, it's having that like stranglehold on, like, we think that having that money or getting that next job will.
It's like, how do you know what's good for you if you only ever do one thing?
Yeah, how do you know that the job with that makes $250,000 a year? How do you know that that's good for you? Like, I understand that, like, yeah, that would solve maybe some immediate problems, but you don't necessarily know that the job that maybe you make half as much at could change your life in a different way. And yeah, I mean, like I said, when I left River Grill, it was. Yeah, some people were just like, nice, good for you. Like, and I'd be like, they'd be like, what are you going to do? And I'd be like, I don't know. And some people would be like, oh, that's cool. You're just going to figure it out. And then other people would be like, oh, I could never. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not quitting with $3 in my bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I feel you. What's your favorite practice that you do?
I gotta say that, I mean, I think that for me this year, I've really picked up on reading a lot more and trying to not just, do the easy thing and throw the TV on every time that you want to relax. There's other ways to relax that aren't necessarily like, zoning out. And being comfortable with that. And like, now I try to, my first step in the evening routine is trying to do reading before I go to bed, because that's way better for like your eyes and your sleep and stuff like that. But you don't always do it. But I think that I've let go a little bit of that. I know I have ADHD, but I've let go a little bit of that. Like, you start reading for 3 minutes and then you're not even bored, but you feel like the urge to do something else. Like you have,
that's anxiety.
Yeah.
We'll just call it what it is.
So maybe it's not my favorite practice, but I've learned to like sit with that, because I don't even.
You
know
allow the feeling to happen.
I don't even know if discomfort is the right word, but it's
that's a meditation. What you're doing.
That's what I was going to say. The same thing, but I think that I've be able to learn that because I'm able to. It doesn't necessarily happen to everybody, but it's very common in meditation that when you sit down in the first couple minutes, it's very hard to settle yourself. And sometimes that takes a minute, and then sometimes that takes 20 minutes. And I'm able to, instead of get wrapped up in it, I'm more so able to like identify that that's what it is, but that it doesn't have to be set in stone. That like I have control over that.
Okay.
So I guess. Maybe the answer is meditation, but or maybe it's bringing meditation into other areas.
Practicing meditation in your daily life.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're not, yeah, exactly. Practicing it in the line at the grocery store, or when you're, wherever you're at.
Mine's very similar. Mine's breath work, and I just starting to realize how much I use it and how impactful it is. Because like I had learned about breath work when I first started this journey, and like I had done some practicing with it, and I had done some Wim Hof and some stuff like that. But until you like I don't know. It's got to just click, I guess. For me, it clicked the other day. I was like, why am I so anxious when I'm high? And I went to my breath, and the second, because you can fix anything with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the second that I started doing like real breath work and like actually paying attention to it, all gone, you know?
Well, yeah, and especially like part of what me and you are both trying to do right now is cut down a little bit more on smoking weed as much too.
Yeah.
And it is nice, like, you know, sometimes when you've been doing stuff like that for a while, you crave the what it is like you crave that different mind state, and you crave that. And for a while, we thought that the only way that you could do that is by doing stuff like drugs and alcohol and you know, whatever that might be that isn't so healthy for you.
Only way to turn the volume down.
But then but then it's just like sometimes it's like, all right, well, I can maybe like wake up in the morning and do some breath work instead of just going straight to the bong.
You just made me realize I quit alcoholism because I picked up a new addiction. And it's breathing.
But I mean, breathing is great.
Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, some people go throughout their whole lives not paying attention to their breath.
Yeah, man.
And that's your life force. You gotta. I think that's where I started with meditation, was just years ago, just focus on the breath. And it's still hard. It's still, you know, it still can be hard because it feels so natural, but like that's your life force. I
took a yoga class with Jonah Kest online, the Nike one, the other day.
Yeah.
And he said something, and it was just like, he was talking about Ujjayi breath. Yeah. And I know, like, nobody's ever said it to me before, so I never really clicked. And he was just like, just make the sound of your breathing way louder than the thoughts in your head.
Yep.
And he was like, and then you have nothing to worry about.
Damn,
all you can hear is your breath. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, somebody might have said that to me before, but like I wasn't paying attention like I was paying attention.
Will talks about it in his classes.
I know
but he doesn't explain it like that.
Yeah, like once I got it explained to me, I was like, oh, fuck, man. It's impossible to be anxious if I can't hear anything but my breath. Like, because then your focus is automatically all there.
Well, I think actually, I think about it, because I think he says this fairly often, but he was like, he says drown out the thinking mind. Which is just
that does sound like Will.
But sometimes like you need to hear somebody say it in a different way, and it's just like, I
was also getting my ass kicked in class.
Yeah. I had a crazy class this past week. Like, I was sweating like crazy. My whoop didn't even recognize it though. I was pissed. I was like, I'm not even inputting this. I was sweating like a pig.
The face you just made. My fancy technology didn't even know that my heart rate increased.
Bro,
God,
it was for like an hour though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know it does.
It's like.
It does. Whoop. Check that out. Sometimes, like, I'll be running for a minute. Running's probably the only activity that it picks up immediately for me. Like, it just knows I'm running. It's probably also because your heart rate hits, like, such a high point so quick.
I'm standing in the same place, basically.
Yeah. True.
Usually it recognizes it. I was like, this feels like the hardest I've ever worked in one of these classes. And...
Damn. Nothing. Well, you know you can go in and add the activity.
No, of course.
What did it say? Did you do that? Did it tell you what it was?
No, I didn't. I was just like, what the fuck? And I did other shit or whatever it was.
See, I never start the activity when I go to yoga. Like, because you can start the activity so it's recognizing it. But, like, I like it to start from, like, when my heart rate starts going up.
That's what I wanted to, yeah.
So I always wait till the end of class, and then I put it in for, like, whenever class was supposed to start. And normally it's, like, 5 minutes in. You see the spike, and it's just like, okay, there it is.
I was just surprised because there's been other classes where I felt like I didn't, have to work out as hard.
Yeah.
And it recognized it automatically. But whatever,
What's a change that you want to start, that you want to make, something you want to do that will positively impact your life next year? Well, we can wrap with that.
Well, you know what, man? I've been thinking about this for a little while now, and you've known me for a long time, and it's something that's I've been pulled towards over like the last, I'd say, month or so now. And I think part of it comes from doing this podcast, but I think also a big part of it comes from having the time and space away from other things. But in 2024, I want to try doing stand-up comedy.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
a dope one.
That is my next thing that I would like to just pursue. Like, I've done improv for a long time now. I really enjoy, and I don't think there's anything else that makes me more happy than making people laugh. And I know that it's more, it's about a lot more than that. But I think that I've learned a lot from doing this podcast, and just that, like, there's something very freeing about, like, nobody can make fun of me for this because I already put it out there. You know, there's that great, I don't know if you're familiar with that Childish Gambino song. It's at the end of camp when he tells the story about how he tells the girl that he has a crush on her. And then she tells everybody and they all laugh at him. And he said, I made a decision then to, nobody can laugh at me because I told you. This is my thing. This isn't a secret.
Yeah.
Truthfully and honestly, I had absolutely no intention of really telling you or anybody else. And I was just going to kind of go out there and figure it out on my own. But if there's anything I've learned from this podcast is that, like, being vulnerable. So, like, we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted, I guess, right?
Yeah. All right.
That's my, but that's something that I'd like to pursue. And if anybody knows of any, like, you know, I'm looking out for open mic nights and just ways to do it. Like, my boys over at Serious Comedy, I'm big on them. But I've been out of it for a little while now.
Have you written any material?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I have.
Yeah, so you're
a
like
little notebook over there. Yeah.
You're in it.
Yeah, I'm working on stuff. And it's like,
I will know if it's about me.
I haven't read anything about you yet. Maybe that'll work its way in there. And what's I feel so free just saying it out loud now already. But that, like, it's very scary attempting to do something like that when you're 31 years old. And it's very intimidating too to see that, like, you know, most of the people who are successful and have done well at it started much younger. But if I'm being honest with myself, it was something that I always wanted to try and that I always had a hard time with because I was always so insecure and self-conscious. And I said, what if I'm the guy who's funny in real life, but then points out the fact that he's funny and can't figure it out? But now I feel like I'm beyond stuff like that. You know, what's the other option? Going and becoming an accountant? I don't know. Or you know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? Like, so that's, we'll see what happens. I have big dreams for sure in that, but we'll see what happens.
All right.
How about you, man? I know I just dropped, like, kind of a bomb on you there.
Yeah, no, I'm taking that all in. I'm happy for you though. Like, I'm happy that you're going to pursue that. That's good. I appreciate that, man. Makes sense. I mean, you've always, like, been into that stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You know, I mean, for me, this is.
I know. Yeah. Now I feel like.
Yeah, like, I don't know what the fuck to say here. I'm running the marathon. I hope I run it fast. No, I mean, like, I don't know. I, like, would really like to hone down on this next year though. Like, I would.
You mentioned a lot about how you really wanted to, like, become, like, a crazy interviewer.
Yeah, I would
like. You wanted to be on that. I think you're on your way there, considering how you interviewed me.
Yeah,
like, interviewing me, you've known me for a while.
I'd like to get. There's a lot of people that I'm going to reach out to this year that I'd like to have on here with us, and, like, I feel like I could be good at it. Talk is my strong suit. You know, so. Yeah, no. So, but it's this. I like the podcast. I'm a lot of focus already goes into it. It's going to be a lot more. And, like, now that I can help you edit clips and stuff, like, now that I can get onto that side of it. So it's not like something that I'm just doing when we record and then, like, doing the social media. It's something that I can be doing all the time. Like,
well, yeah, what you're talking about is, like, you know, in some way we're both talking about being creative in different ways.
Yeah.
That either we've.
Maybe I'll be an actor. If you're gonna do comedy, maybe I'll go into acting. You never know.
Yeah, man. I don't know. That's always been, like, I've always liked that. And you and Jules came to one of my improv shows.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah,
like,
so that's why I can see it for you.
There's really, yeah, exactly. And I think about stuff like that. And like I said, I know that I don't know the whole story of what it means to do that for a living. But at the same time, it's very exciting. So but that's exciting for you too, to be like, maybe in the beginning of when we started doing this, I don't know if did you ever feel like you'd be at this point where you're like, I want to edit stuff and I want to do this? Like,
I knew I had vision of stuff, like the way I would like things
but do you
to
think
look,
it'd be
but
you fulfilling it?
no, not at all.
Yeah.
And now like I'm starting to dive into that, and I want to get good at it. So,
wow, man, yeah, no, it's really cool. Like, and I was, I wouldn't say that I was surprised, but I would say that like, and especially when you were like, no, I feel like this is something that I need to conquer on my own. Because obviously I know a lot about editing, and like I've been down that road a lot. And that you were just like, no, like I want to figure this out for myself. Like, because there's also something to be said about how if you learn something from somebody else, that might limit the direction that you can go in. Because I have a certain.
I only know what you showed me, and like I'm not going to shy away from it because I know how to do it now, but I only know how to do it this way. This way, I'm going to have to figure it all out. I can ask for pointers here and there, like the other day with like cropping it, but like.
But that's just like, you don't necessarily know that until like that's more of a black and white thing. But
I'm going to add another. I'm going to get really good at writing this year.
Really?
That's something.
Well,
I could write a book, I think.
Technically, what I'm working on too is writing as well. So like that's all. I said that too when we started doing this. I said that like we should like. What if we wrote a book called "Who Thought You'd Be Here"?
Yeah, that's dope, bro. There we go. All right, that's the end of the podcast. We got shit to do now.
Yeah. Before we go, you'll be listening to this at the end of the year, so we wish all of you guys, anybody who has supported us this year, like, thank you so fucking much. There's no way that we could do this without the people who gave us feedback, helped us along, and of course, like, people who listen. And we can't wait to see.
I can't wait to see
goes next year.
Yeah, Spotify Rap for podcasters next year should be fun.
Yeah, like we started this in August. Like
there wasn't a lot on there. We were 7 people's #1 show though.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if you told me that.
We were 7 people's #1 show, and I'm assuming they only listens to us on Spotify.
Yeah. Well, if you're one of those 7 people,
shout out to fucking you.
Yeah, please send us. Maybe we'll send you something special. We'll give you a shout out or something like that.
Yeah.
Please let us know.
We got merch coming.
If we were in your Spotify Wrapped or your Apple Music or whatever it might be, that means the world to us. Even if there was only, like I said, if there was
7.
only 7 of you.
We had 15 listeners that it gave us throughout the year, and it said out of 15 of those people, we were 7 of their #1 podcasts. So, and it definitely wasn't me. It ain't me. Like
I listened to way too many podcasts for us to be #1.
Yeah.
I'm like, I edit our episodes. I spend enough time in the edit on our episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's exciting. I think we just had a little like breakthrough right there at the end of the episode, and we were like, "Oh, this is gonna be so loose. This is gonna be like,"
and it was,
It was, but that's how we got there. Yeah.
So thanks again for listening. We hope you have a great holiday, and we'll see you next year. We got some really exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, big guests coming up. People who are very personal to us, and people who you might not expect that we know either.
Yeah, just wait.
Yeah. But as always, whatever, anything, I was out at the Roosevelt on Monday night, and I had a few people mention to me just like, it's awesome what you guys are doing. Like,
still going.
It's awesome what you guys are doing. Yeah. And
I bet you no one there at that place would have thought that we'd still be going after we first started. Maybe a couple,
you know what? Shout out to Grant, because I do like Grant a lot. But he said something. He was like, I love listening to, and he said he only listened to the first couple episodes, but he said that like there's a vibe between the two of you guys that like cannot be replicated by like if just 2 people who are good at something hosted something. And that means the world is that like, because that not only does that mean that we're doing the right thing, but that means that me and you being here in this room doing this is creating an energy for somebody else that didn't exist before that. And yeah, man, and like, I mean, I'll take this time too to be like, thank you for coming along on this ride for
Yeah,
this year, man.
thanks.
Like it's amazing to see where this will go and how doing this has changed the way I view creativity, which is such a big part of my life, and all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
It views the way that I'm going to go into looking for a job. It views the way that I'll approach comedy as I go towards that. It changes the way I look at writing, and it definitely has given me that courage to, you know, me and you talked about early on in the beginning of this, how cool it was going to be to look back on our first episode and say, like, look how far we've come.
Yeah.
And I don't think we thought that at episode 15 or 16
We'd be this far along.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Head and shoulders difference, man. Just keep persevering. Keep going. Don't stop. Whatever you're doing, believe in yourself. If you need somebody to talk to, message us on Instagram. We'll be there. Or talk to somebody that you actually know. We might not know you. Anything else?
Let's
Have
we
a
be here,
fucking
man.
killer 2024.
2024, man. You guys
Happy
have a
New
great
Year.
Thank you for listening.